Welcome to Is It Covered, where we break down real stories and answer the big question, is it covered? Hosted by father and son duo Bruce and Brian Chapman of the J.D. Chapman Insurance Agency. This podcast will help you navigate the world of insurance with stories, tips, and answers that really matter. From personal to commercial coverage, we've got you covered. Now, let's get started.
Welcome back to Is It Covered, a podcast by J.D. Chapman Agency with your host Bruce and Brian Chapman, your hosts. Today we have a pretty interesting podcast. It's not necessarily Is It Covered, but there is a growing cannabis industry in New York State. And there are some, in addition to selling cannabis, there's a lot of ancillary businesses. One of them is insurance. There are cannabis businesses popping up all over. There's a whole lot more to the industry than just dispensaries. And there's a lot of insurance needs for that. So we were hoping today to kind of give a quick, broad overview on what goes into insuring a cannabis operation.
Absolutely.
Brian is definitely our expert here. This is an industry that we identified as a niche market. There's not a ton of other agents that are involved in that, and certainly expertise is important as far as knowing how to cover these accounts. So with that, I'm going to kind of turn it over to Brian. What are some of the coverages that a cannabis operation would need? And there's all different types of cannabis operations too.
Right, and you nailed it. So it really, again, goes back to using an agent that knows the different aspects of the cannabis business, whether you're a dispensary, whether you're a processing facility. Does that processing facility also include some form of manufacturing or extraction? Are you a cultivator, either indoor or outdoor? So there's a lot of facets to this that you can really tailor the insurance needs to. I don't want to get too granular with it, but basically your cannabis business, whether you're anywhere from the seed portion all the way to sale, really follows a lot of the same guidelines in terms of specific coverages that you would want to look for. So for example, general liability is always something that we put on all of our commercial policies. So your general liability, is really the foundation of any business insurance. It protects against claims of bodily injury or property damage that occur on the business premises itself.
So I walk into a dispensary, I trip and fall over their carpet, smash my head. That would be a liability claim.
Yeah, exactly. Or you smash your head through their display case. That'd be a bad one.
But yeah, it would.
That would be a claim. Yeah. You might need some of their product to help you heal.
Quick, what's the number for 911?
Right. And then it paired with that, majority of the time people own some type of business personal property, so property that they own. So if you're a cultivator, it might be tools and equipment to help you, cultivate the plant. If you're a dispensary, it could be display cases and computer systems, things like that.
What about the product if you're a dispensary? Can you insure the product?
Yes, you can insure the product itself. If you're a grower, there's crop insurance available for the actual crop while it's being cultivated. It's ungodly expensive. It doesn't really, the market for it hasn't really kept up with some of these small grows. So if you're a dispensary though, and you do have product that you have for sale, yes, there's a line item for inventory that you have for sale. So yes, you can protect that. Perfect. Absolutely. Or, any business personal property that you might own. So your dispensary goes up in flames, you want to make sure that you're able to recoup the value that you have in all your property. Good.
So let's say that I use one of the products and I get sick somehow. What happens then? What kind of coverage is there for that? Yeah,
that's a great question. So you read my mind, because that's next. It's product liability, and this is something that I talk to all of our cannabis accounts about. And if you were to sell a product, let's say your dispensary, you sell some form of a pre-roll. The end user says, "Hey, this has caused me to have some type of an asthmatic attack, or I'm now going to the hospital because I'm injured in some form." I'm going to sue you as the dispensary that sold it. And this is where your product liability would come in. So product liability is really basically coverage that helps you protect businesses from law, or helps your business be protected from lawsuits related to any product that you might sell. So now you might be thinking, well, I'm just the dispensary. I didn't make this product. I just sold it.
Right.
So any lawyer is going to look at the whole chain from the point of where it was grown
Yep.
to the point where it was processed, all the way up to the last person to sell it.
Including the testing lab.
Including the testing laboratory. And product liability too is if you maybe have a you're a cultivator and some of your standard operating procedures weren't followed, and so now a piece of flower got through that has some contamination, wasn't caught by the lab or what have you. Those things happen. Or mislabeling of THC amounts is a common one. I've seen claims in other states where they've labeled it as X, but it's really Y percentage. And the end user says, wow, that was a lot stronger than I thought.
What about like a testing lab? Do they need professional liability?
That's a great question. Either professional or some type of error and omission policy.
Yeah.
Yes, I haven't ran into it a whole lot yet, but I'm sure that there's some products out there that is something that would be specific to their industry. To what they do. Yep, absolutely. And then if you do have, again, New York State, you need workers' compensation if you have employees. There's some special markets for the cannabis business. And then delivery is a popular thing. So folks that have a vehicle that either delivers straight to the end consumer or they're delivering cannabis product from business to business, you don't want to use your personal vehicle for that. You need to have that written as a commercial auto policy.
Is it hard to get insurance for the cannabis industry?
I'm glad you asked. As is most things, it seems, in New York, it is a little bit more difficult, but not impossible. The insurance market itself, we go through not your normal standard carriers that you guys maybe know by name. We use these excess lines carriers.
Specific to the cannabis industry.
Right, that have policies specifically built for the cannabis industry itself. Unfortunately, they are a little bit more expensive, but there's a few of them out there, and, using an agent like us, we're able to shop those around and, kind of find the nitty gritty ins and outs of these policies and what fits best for you. So it's available. It's just a little more expensive than your traditional insurance.
So cannabis is legal in the state, but federally illegal. Do you think that when or if it becomes federally legal, what kind of changes do you think you'd see in that?
That's a great question. I would imagine that if it becomes federally legal, that opens up a lot of the banking regulations. So I think one of the biggest reasons that mainstream insurance companies aren't in this is because it's not federally legal and there's some exposure where they can't bank their money. So if it becomes federally legal, I would see that more markets open up. The cost for the insurance itself might become more competitive, which means a lower premium for the end person, for the person holding the policy. So in my view, it could only help the insurance side of things if it went federally legal.
So it would be like insuring a liquor store then, kind of.
Exactly. You'd be right. It falls right in line with insuring like a liquor store.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
We pretty much touched on really, really high level things about cannabis insurance, which I hope people find interesting because it's an interesting industry.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're seeing more and more of it here in New York as the licensing is going, and more people are reaching out to me for it.
Isn't it projected to be like New York to be the largest state for the cannabis industry? If
not potentially worldwide. I think New York City drives a lot of that, but yes, New York itself has a very big opportunity to be. I think we just did the first $1 billion in sales recently.
Wow.
So yeah, it's coming up, and it's good to if you're in that industry to make sure you have insurance that follows along.
Good tax revenue.
Yeah, good tax revenue. Yep.
Anything else that we should have touched on, or we kind of hit the high point?
No, I could talk for days on this one, but
Okay.
That's the good overview for sure.
Excellent. So then I guess that concludes another episode of Is It Covered? I guess instead of Is It Covered, we said How It's Covered
Yep.
in this case. But thank you everyone for listening. We hope you found this interesting. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thanks for listening to the Is It Covered podcast. To learn more about how JD Chapman can assist you with all your insurance needs, please visit our website at jdchapmaninc.com or call us at 315-986-4062. JD Chapman, we've got you covered. This podcast provides general information only and does not offer or bind insurance coverage. Coverage cannot be changed or confirmed through this podcast, email, voicemail, or fax. Insurance only takes effect once confirmed by a licensed agent. For specific coverage details, please call us at 315-986-4062. All coverages are subject to the terms, conditions, and exclusions of the issued policy, which may vary by state. This podcast does not provide legal, tax, or financial advice. Please consult a professional for those needs. Links to other sites are provided for convenience. We don't control or endorse their content. Any claims scenarios discussed are hypothetical. Coverage decisions depend on the specifics of each case.